It's always
Sang
it.
It's always a good hang. What's up, bro? What's up? I'm about to crack this LaCroix. What's up?
How you doing? All right, we talked about doing this episode. We're gonna go off the rip with it here, man. We've been fucking busy lately, and
Yeah,
just a little stressed out and kind of burnt. Not burnt, but
a little burnt.
a little medium cooked.
I think
cookage.
I think this is an episode about honesty. I think it's important to know, like, if you're listening, we come into a lot of our episodes with a plan. We have notes, kind of guidelines we want to hit in terms of the conversation. But this one we have literally nothing but 2 LaCroix and what Gil is calling a sheet of notes, but there's like 6 words.
Words on it. Yeah.
This guy's a planner. But we're like, we need just a check-in episode right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in our lives right now. Lots of doors closing and new ones opening. Lots of seasonal changes, both on the earth and also in our lives. So
I think that was well said. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
We'll do our best.
I don't know, man. We're just shit. I mean, we just had a little powwow in the kitchen with the team, and it was necessary, I think.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Overwork was kind of the
Yeah,
theme of the powwow, and it's something that someone that's very close to us is currently experiencing in a very literal sense. But it's something that you and I have both been experiencing over the past couple months, if
Yeah.
not, year or two. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get into that today, and we're just gonna talk about it, and we're gonna air it out, and we're gonna hopefully feel better at the end of it.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
the only goal today.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, I respect how you've been living your life.
Thanks.
Just taking
1 second at a time.
just taking risks and shit, man.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of the game. So you were on The Voice, bro. Crazy.
This is
The Voice.
I was on The Voice, dude.
What happened there?
Like,
How did you get on?
be?
Yeah. How did you get on the show? Like, what happened?
So I was at an open mic here in Atlanta back in October of 2023. And I was playing my 2 songs like I usually do every Tuesday. And I go to put my guitar in its case after I play, and a woman approaches me and she goes, "Hey, that was a great set. Great. You sound great."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it." She goes, "I'm a casting agent for The Voice. I would love if you would apply."
Wow.
I was like, well, at first I was like, whatever. Like I kind of didn't believe her.
It's
So
kind
it's
of a
just like
crazy thing to.
Yeah, just like the last thing I expected her to say in that moment.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's cool, because at this point, The Voice was just not something that I ever wanted to do.
Or saw yourself doing, kind of.
Yeah, or thought that I could.
Right.
And I'll get into that later, but she said that to me, and I go, all right, yeah, you just send the info to my email. And I gave her my email, and then I just never really spoke to her the rest of the night. Turns out so obviously a casting agent for The Voice, but she just happened to be in Atlanta visiting a friend, and they were just at that bar.
Damn.
It was just super
That's so wild.
serendipitous, man. And so months go by. It's like I just totally forget about it. Months go by. It's March of the following year, and I'm talking to Seif, my drummer, and somehow The Voice comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, I got an offer to do that. And he's like, oh, it's crazy you're gonna do it, blah, blah, blah. 'Cause he had known a dude who did it.
Yeah. And
so he knew what some of the benefits looked like and some of just the mechanisms of the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not really my thing, man. Like, I don't think I want to do something like that. And he just goes, you're a dumbass, dude. You're a dumbass. I mean, you could, first of all, if you have the opportunity to skip a couple steps, why not? He's like, it's not like you just started yesterday. I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years, man. Yeah. And he's like, what do you have to lose? Like,
that's a great question.
Yeah, it's a really like cliche question, but it's so true, man. I really had to think about that. I was like, I really don't have anything to lose. I'm not sitting on this like big fan base or whatever.
Dude, often we don't in any kind of endeavor. Like,
Right.
What are you gonna die?
Exactly. That's pretty much the worst that can
Right,
happen.
literally.
And so I was like, whatever, man. And finally, one day after a gig, he just like cornered me. He's like, if you don't send that woman a fucking email tomorrow, I'm gonna kill you, dude. Yeah. And so I did, and I hit her up and I go, hey, you know, I don't know if you still remember me. You know, we spoke back in October at an open mic. You offered to, you know, help me audition for The Voice. I was like, is that offer still valid? She goes, absolutely. Great to hear from you. This is what you got to do for me. And the deadline is in 3 days.
Oh, good news. It's
Yeah,
all.
right.
This is all very fatey, bro. It's
right.
very,
And there was a lot of fate things happening here. And so you know, and bear in mind, like the submission had been open for months. Right. I just happened to hit her up 3 days before the deadline. Yeah. And so I get everything in, and part of me is like secretly hoping that I wouldn't get it, so I could just like avoid that responsibility. Like this was the fear of success.
I was just gonna say that, bro.
Yeah. So that was definitely the part of me that was kicking in. And lo and behold, a week later, I get a call from a Los Angeles number. She's like, "Hey, this is blah 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 from NBC's The Voice. Like, congratulations, you've been selected to be in season 27." I was like, the first words out of my mouth was, "Oh shit!" Like, I didn't even know what to say. And next thing you know, meetings and all this stuff, and meeting the other contestants. And next thing you know, I'm in LA, starting to do this thing and rehearsing and blah blah and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is happening? Right. So that's kind of how it happened.
Right.
Right. Yeah, crazy.
Nuts.
Serendipitous.
Nuts. And at this point, you know, if you watch The Voice, you know, you've seen how it transpired, kind of. But yeah. Can you talk about like your blind audition? Like, you know, what?
I can talk about certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
I think. You know, I sang "Drops of Jupiter" by Train.
Okay. Great song.
Great song, dude. That's one of the original bangers of the day.
Yeah.
I remember that. Was like one of the first ones we posted. It was crazy, man. I mean, you just can never fully prepare yourself for a moment like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the wing about to go out on this stage, and I've never, dude, listen, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It was the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
You know what, dude? Because I know you have a stage presence as someone who's seen you a lot. Like, you can rock a crowd, and like you look so comfortable up there. But I imagine this is so different. Like, you got 4 huge celebrities just behind those chairs.
Right. Not looking at you.
Right. Yeah. And like, it's just like it's like the culmination kind of like, all right, you know, now I'm here.
Yeah.
And like, as a singer, like, you need to access your breath. And like, what's the first thing you lose when you're nervous as shit?
It's your breath.
Dude, fucking good.
Yeah. And even like in a regular show with my band, I'm like not so concerned with it being perfect. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, we got an hour and a half to rock this crowd. Like, I'm not worried about one specific moment. But with a blind audition, man, you have 90 seconds to prove yourself. And, you know, I remember I get up there and I'm standing on my mark, and in my head, I'm like, I look up and I like thought of my Uncle Joe. I was like, you know, the dude who kind of renewed my love of music in my adult life and like really opened my eyes to what the whole thing is about. I thought of him, and next thing you know, the hi-hat's counting in, and we're like into the song, man. And they always say, they're like, you're gonna black out during your performance, you know, you're not gonna remember it, blah blah blah. You're gonna blink, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be standing there with the mic in your hand talking to whoever the coach is. And dude, this was all so out of the ordinary for me that I was painfully aware during my blind
of every second
I remember of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't black out for mine. And, you know, when Michael turned, I was like, I felt like a deer in headlights. You know, I'm thinking, holy shit, did that just happen? I literally cannot, this whole thing that I've been like nervous about, am I going to get a chair turn, blah, 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 stuff. It happened. I got a chair turn, dude.
That's huge.
It's huge. Like, I mean, you know, you think about how many people apply to do this thing, only, 48 people get chair turns.
Right.
And it's like, what a crazy blessing that like I happen to be one of those people. And, you know, I'm thinking about all that stuff in this moment. My mind is going a million miles an hour. And then I remember I gotta finish the song.
Right.
I'm like, dude, and you know what? I will say, dude, I know I'm like a pretty decent singer, but Drops of Jupiter is a very difficult song to sing.
Yeah, I imagine.
And it doesn't appear to be at face value, but if you want to sing in a way that serves that song, it's really difficult.
Right,
you
right.
know, and it's like, you know, you're trying to find your moments in the song to do your thing. And so it was hard for me, man. It was a very, very difficult audition for me. You know, sometimes when I sing, depending on the song, dude, it's easy, and sometimes it's not. And it just happened to be one of those times where I like really, really had to work.
Right.
You know, and it was just wild, dude.
What was going through your head when, like, right before you went up on that stage?
Well, the first thought in my head was like, I have free will. I could turn around and run. Like, I don't have to do this.
Right.
You know, and my second thought was like, I kept reminding myself that, like, in the grand scheme of things, my mind was bouncing between two things.
Right.
It was like, A, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to be a very small part of my life, you know? And then B, this is one of the biggest moments I've ever had in my life.
Right.
So it's like this dichotomy
Yeah.
of things happening, and it's like, but you know, you're thinking so fast, and it's like, you're literally just trying to clear your mind and take a deep breath. But dude, it's
hard,
impossible.
man.
You just can't. Like, unless you've done that before, like, it is such a unique performance experience that only a few people in this world have gotten to experience. And anybody who's done it can tell you this, man. It's just like the nerves, you're shaky, you're fighting for your life up there, dude. And, you know, it's a weird feeling when you know that there's cameras. Like, I'm playing and I'm like, well, whatever I do right now is going to be on TV. Like, I'm thinking about that. There's no do-overs here, right? I can't just, like, stop and be like, can we start again? You know?
Yeah, you can't cut.
No, dude. It was like, it's go time. And it happened so fast. And then, you know, the next thing you know, I'm like, I'm out. I'm gone.
Talking to Michael Bublé.
Yeah, right? And next thing I'm like dapping up Michael Bublé, and he's like, you know, giving me a hockey jersey. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, this is so crazy, you know? I'm not a type of person who really gets, like, starstruck by celebrities, but I was like,
it's cool.
Yeah, I was like, this is, I mean, it was cool, but it was also like, what? Like, this is weird as fuck. Like, this is wild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Michael's a very beautiful man up close.
Michael's dope.
And far away.
Michael's dope.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Bublé's unreal.
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
After that, I'm immediately thinking about the battle rounds, you know, and then, you know, we're preparing for that, and, you know, we did Gravity, John Mayer for that. It was myself and Carlos Santiago. Shout out Carlos.
Shout out Carlos.
Love that dude.
Yeah.
And he became, you know, one of my best friends on the show, and just an incredible friend in my life, and just, you know, I learned so much from him in this process, and it was so fun to get to do it with him, man. And
it's awesome. I feel like you lucked out being with him. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And what's funny is that I didn't really even know him before we got paired together. We just happened to, like, right before we got put together, we just happened to sit down at a table together. He was like, "Is this seat free?" Or, you know, we were just kind of killing time, and we ended up talking. And I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's so cool. He's so funny. He's a great sense of humor. Like, great musician, great attitude about the whole thing.
Right.
So I was really blessed to get to share the stage with him, man. And I remember, like, we crushed our battle. I got to play guitar. It was like a whole thing, dude. You know, and you know, I'm a white guy, so, like, I had a John Mayer face.
Yeah,
and
of course.
so, you know, I'm like getting to play his song on this big stage, you know, with a great friend, and with the band is killing, and it's, you know, it's such an insane experience. And, like, I do remember our battle being really, really good.
Yeah.
And so all this happens, and it's like, you know, for those of you who haven't watched the show, Carlos won the battle, and it's like, he deserved it. I mean, he crushed, but
that was the end of the journey.
Yeah, that was exactly. And you know what, man? Like, I was totally fine with my journey ending there. I was like, I got to do the blind. I got through the blind. I got to do the battle, which I consider my favorite part of the whole thing. Because, you know, what is this if we're not doing it with other people?
Right.
So, yeah, that ended my journey. And then it was like,
how many months between the airing and the end? Or it was, you came home.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how specific I can be.
Okay.
I'm allowed to be about that,
True.
but there was time.
Some
between
time,
airing
obviously. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, obviously the whole thing isn't live.
Right. So it was good to come home, right? You know.
Yeah. It was good to kind of kiss the ground, but it's weird, man. I'm like,
it was hard to adjust, I imagine.
Yeah, like that. 1 second I'm dapping up Adam Levine, and then the next second I'm like playing a gig where like no one's paying attention to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it was a crazy emotional whiplash coming up from all of it, because it very quickly became something that I cared about when I went into it with the attitude of whatever, like, you know, whatever I get out of this, I'm fine with, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, I really want to do well.
Yeah,
like I want to you know, this could be huge exposure for my career.
Right,
like,
right.
You know, I could like get opportunity to like put myself in really cool musical situations to have a lot of fun in and learn a lot from. And then you get home and you're just like, you know, you're going to Publix or it's just, you know,
groceries.
Yeah, exactly. And no one knows that you did it.
Right.
You know, you obviously, we're not talking about it. And so, there's this crazy whiplash, and then, you know, people know that you did it and they're like, how'd it go? What happened? And you can't talk about it. And it's like, there's just so much you got to keep secret until it airs. And then, you know, so
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I finally got to a point where, I was able to kind of step out of that, and, you know, rediscovering my faith was like a huge part of that. Cause I just like, dude, I was in a dark place when I got home from that.
Yeah.
I was just kind of lost. I was like, this year has been like, what is happening? I was just so confused about everything. And, you know, all of the self-worth issues and the imposter syndrome and the survivor's guilt that comes from doing something like that. You know, on the outside, people are like, oh, it's just a reality show. It's silly. It's like, no, like, it's a real thing with music, and like, these are real people.
This is what I care about. These
with real feelings. Like, this is real shit, man. You know, whether it's on a show or not, like, these are real experiences that people are having. They put a lot of emotional stock in this. And so, you know, when it's tough, it's not only tough at face value, but it's like tough on your soul, man.
Right. Yeah.
And so
put yourself out there, man.
Yeah. And like, especially for me, dude, like a lot of the other people there, they were like singers, man. You know, like these are people that just have singing in their blood.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that guy.
No,
like I like singing. I've been saying, like, I'm a guitar player by nature and a singer by trade.
Right.
You know, like singing is something that I learned to do. Much more so than guitar.
Like, I feel like guitar was your first love, and like the singing was like something you needed to adopt.
Yeah, it was
almost out of necessity. You talked about it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the singer of our first band, we had to let him go, and like I stepped into that role reluctantly. I didn't want to do it. I don't want to be a singer.
Dude,
I was like,
sometimes the universe has to push you.
Oh my god,
where you're supposed to go.
Yeah, it fucking kicked me into that direction, dude.
Horse kick.
Yeah, but and I don't know, and so, you know, you go from that, this kid who's afraid to sing, to like singing in front of four of the greats, man, and it's like, it was just a wild journey, and like a lot of emotional baggage that came along with it, and a lot of stuff. I learned a lot about myself, and there were so many positives. You know, the positives outweigh the negatives by far. But you know, and so you get to have this long break after it's recorded, and then you kind of have to relive it when it airs.
Right. And I remember on the day the first episode was airing, we were in your car, and I kind of checked in with you. I was like, "How you feeling, man?" And you were like, "Honestly, like." You were kind of like at a loss for words a little bit. You're like, man, I gotta relive this experience right now, and it's like, I think there was a little bit of excitement, but also a little bit of like, there was something else there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, very apropos for like the whole process. It's like it was excitement, it was fear, it was anxiety, it was, you know, like dreaming big, like it was just all these things at once, and I think that's why it was so confusing, because you're feeling good stuff and bad stuff at the same time, and just having to relive it is weird, man. And you know, especially when I found out that, you know, both of my performances were montaged.
How disappointing was that?
I'll be honest, man. At first, it was devastating.
Of course.
It was devastating. All this work I put into this thing, and like all the time I spent, and all of the the willpower and the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this, how far I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, just how risky it was for me in terms of my emotional stability and all this stuff. And like for all that, we'll talk about the blind auditions first, like for all that to be reduced to like, 10 seconds was tough.
Yeah, man.
Because
you sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
You go out to LA, you do this thing. Like,
100%, dude. And,
and you do it for exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and,
as a musician.
Yeah. And, I got a lot of amazing things out of it. Like,
of course.
It has to be said, like the relationships that I made, the friendships I made, I got to work, briefly with Michael Bublé. Like, that's crazy. And Cynthia at RIZZO.
That's crazy.
That's wild,
insane,
bro.
Yeah.
And like,
we had just seen Wicked, and then it's like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was nuts. And, I wanted to be abundantly clear, like something I learned through this process was you're allowed to be disappointed with something and also be grateful for other aspects of it at the same time. Like that you're allowed to do that.
It's big picture stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's part of moving through stuff emotionally is you have to, keep it in perspective like that. And so, there was a part of me that all these people were hyped for me on the show. I announced I was on the show, and it was this whole thing. And like, my hometown is hyped about it. Everybody's going to be watching. I'm rooting for you too. Like so many people hitting me up about this. Yeah. So excited to see blah, blah, blah. And then I get the montage email, and it's like, there's a part of me that like felt like I let my hometown down because they didn't even list my hometown on the screen.
Right.
And that hurt, dude. That hurt. It's like they put my social handles up, but not my hometown. It's like I would have rather they put my hometown than my social handles, dude, because I was like so proud to represent them.
Right.
And so many people there are the reason I was able to do it.
Yeah.
And it took a village to get me to where I am today, dude. And I just like wanted to give those people credit. And like all my story and all that stuff, like where I talk about that stuff, it was just like not shown. And I'm glad that we have platforms like this where we can talk about it. And I've gone on other friends' podcasts and done interviews about it so far. But it's tough. And so the day that I found out I was getting montage for the blind auditions was a rough day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I met up with Seif, and we just kind of broed out the rest of the night, and he really helped me work through some feelings, and I finally worked through it. Right, I was like, watching all my friends have their moment. The big the story. What's up? I'm blah blah blah. I'm from here. Like the whole 10-minute segment type of thing. And I'm sitting there, I'm like I'm just like going to be completely honest right now, man. Like this is I'm sitting there, I'm just trying not to feel sorry for myself, because I wanted, like, I was just like really sad about it. And it's just like, if I can, like, if I'm just being honest how I felt, like it just hurt. It hurt my feelings, dude. It like hurt really bad.
Dude, I was, as someone who is close to you, I was like hurt for you. Like, it was like, man, like you're so deserving, and like just, I also just wanted to see your full performance. Like, is that selfish of me to say? Like, no. I want to see it, man.
I mean, it's frustrating that they don't release the full performance anywhere. I get that they montage people because of airtime restrictions, but there's no airtime restriction on YouTube. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And so all this happens, right? And I'm like, okay, well, at least I made it to the battles, So, and I remember we did super well in the battles. So, like, at least, I have that to look forward to. And then fast forward a couple weeks, I had another fucking email that I'm getting montaged again. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like,
unreal.
At this point, I was like very good at finding all the silver lining stuff in the first one. But the second time, I'll be honest with you, I was just angry.
Yeah.
I was angry at the show. I was angry at the producers. I was confused. I was frustrated. I was like, why is this happening to me? I felt like a background character on that show at this point. I'm like, I'm a whole ass person with a story and a life. And I've done great things in my career. And like, it's just, I'm like, not, it was frustrating to not get the visibility.
Right.
And maybe that, we'll get into this in a sec, but like, maybe it speaks to my ego and all that stuff. But I was just like, Carlos and I did a great thing. And it was a beautiful performance, and we connected on stage, and it it felt like time froze when we did that performance, man. And maybe that's just how I felt, but I know Carlos felt the same way. And so when the battle montage aired, I was like, okay, well, at least I got like they like show my face and all this stuff on the battle or on the blind montage, right? They said my name and all that stuff. Like I actually got a little bit of time. It was, it was like fucking 12 seconds, but it was time.
Something.
I was on screen.
Yeah.
So we were at the watch party, right? For my battle. I remember you couldn't make it.
Working, yeah.
But we were all over. My parents were in town. They had an Airbnb, and I remember we were all over there. And I was kind of expecting it to be similar to the blinds montage. I was like, okay, at least we'll get like a little bit of moment. It comes on screen, and they like don't even show my face, don't even show me singing a line, and it was like even shorter. I was like, what the fuck,
bro? You were like Mike Wazowski. He's like,
right
there I am on TV.
Oh no! Yeah. Or the SpongeBob thing. He's like, there I am, Gary. Yeah, dude. And I was just like, full transparency, like in the moment, dude, when it happened, everyone in the room was like, what was that? And I just like, I tried to just kind of like put a smile on and laugh it off, dude, but I was fucking like, that hurt. Because that was like where I really felt great on that stage. Like my blind, I was like super nervous. But finally for the battle, I was like, I felt like myself on that stage.
You brought it, bro.
Yeah, I really did. And like, no, like just
but like now no one can see it.
Yeah, and it won't ever be posted anywhere. And it's like, that's just so frustrating.
It's a shame, man.
So it is a shame because like, as someone like music helped me out of really dark times. And I know like this might just sound silly to say, but like, and it might sound incredibly, I don't want this to sound self-absorbed or like self-righteous or whatever, but like music saved me. Who knows what performance could help someone else.
Right. Or your story could inspire someone.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, it's just, it's sad and kind of pathetic that they still montage people. It's like, figure it out.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to say that now because this is part of my story, dude.
Yeah.
Like this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, and this is kind of the first time I'm saying this in public, but like, it's not fair that they do that. And like the people it happens to deserve to be seen.
Yep.
And I'm not afraid. I don't have anything to lose. Fucking didn't show me on that show. Like no one even knows who I am. Like, and so fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be like spilling secrets about how the sausage is made. I'm not going to do that. But like, I am going to say how I feel about this.
Absolutely, man. And speak your truth.
Yeah. And it fucking sucked, man. And like, if you want to talk about like bigger picture stuff, like obviously there were all these feelings of anger and resentment when it happened. But again, like through community, let me say this. Something that I learned from a double montage that I would not have learned had my full airtime gotten shown is how powerful my community is when I'm down, when I am hurting, right? It's one thing for people to be there for you when you're like,
when you're on
top of the world, but people saw that this happened twice, and my friends fucking like took to the streets, were sharing my shit, were boosting me up. Like, it was so beautiful, dude. Like, all of y'all, it was wild. And
go stream Mouth Breather, by the way.
I can do it.
This kid is unreal.
Thank you. But it was just crazy, man. It was like such a grassroots moment for me, and it reminded me that just like local level grassroots shit is what matters. And I had a friend say to me before I did all this, he's like, this might be your moment, and this also might not be your moment. And it wasn't my moment. It was my moment in like not the way. It was like a visit. I don't even know how to say it. Like, the moment came in like the community, the fostering of community that came around it. And like, you know, the stark reminder that I have people that love me, and I'm super grateful for that. And, you know, it was a harsh reminder. Like, I want to step out of the resentment feelings, because I also want anybody listening to this to know that, like, I don't feel this way anymore. I'm just, you know, saying how I felt when it all happened. But through working through a lot of it, it was a reminder that we're not entitled to the fruits of our labor, only to the labor itself, from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
That, like, the labor that I was entitled to, I did it.
Yep.
I showed up. I did the work. I did both performances. I was there. Like, I got to experience all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't robbed of the experience.
No. But the fruit that, you're not entitled to the fruit of your labor. You didn't get the fruit.
Well, I didn't get one of the fruits.
Right.
That's true. The fruits I got the friendships.
Right.
Like, I got so many fruits from that show.
From that labor.
I got basically a summer vacation. Like, it was, I met Carlos. I met, my friends, Christian and Zach, and like, Paige, Tyler, Mackenzie, Jay, like, I just said Mackenzie. That's literally Paige's last name. I don't know. Sorry. I was just like thinking about it. But, just all my people, Ishani, like, I don't know if I already said her, but just like all of my, my best friends on that show, and like, we're friends for life now.
Yeah.
And another one of my best friends from that show, Tori Template, like, we're working in the studio now.
That's huge.
And I'm working with Christian too.
So that brought you
Matt
other
Yager,
opportunities.
Like, it's like all these. There was so much fruit that came of it. I want that to be known. Like, that's a very important detail. The fruit that I didn't get was the visibility from it, which in the moment was tough, because I was like, this is going to bring a lot. I'm doing a new record. Like, I've got a fundraiser. Like, this is going to bring a lot of attention to it. This might be the spark I need to finally get things going. And when it happened, I was like, nope, back to work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, that's just happened to me so many times in my life. And it shouldn't have been, like, the procedure to go about in light of that was not it wasn't the first time I had done that. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a unique disappointment, but it wasn't the first time I felt disappointment in my music. Right. I would say 90% of the time it's the disappointment, but the 10% of, falling upward, right? You like fail, and all of a sudden you're like way farther ahead. So, it's just like a long-winded way to say there's like a lot of weird feelings, dude. But I'm so grateful for all of it. I would never do any of it differently. Right. I don't know. It's just sorry. I'll let you talk now. But
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, man. And that's vulnerable to talk about.
Yeah.
That's that experience, and I know man, I'm not you. I can't step in your shoes and stuff, but I know that was kind of. It was kind of painful, but
it was just,
I feel like when you go through something like that and then that happens, like you need to process that. And I think you did it really gracefully, and you were open about it. You could have just shut yourself in your room and like been distant. Yeah. No. And you weren't, and
yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think that if I could give like one piece of advice to anyone listening to this, whether young, old, or like just getting into music or has been doing music for a while, it's like I went from being afraid to sing to putting myself out there on this stage and taking a risk, and it was insane, and it didn't play out the way I had hoped, but I did it. And so the thing I learned is like, I can't let this arbitrary idea of what I think success might be in the future box in the person that I currently am. And for so long in my life, I was letting what I thought success was going to look like just pigeonhole me. And I through doing all this, like through doing The Voice and just in a broader term, like doing things that scare the shit out of me, I learned that trajectory is never going to look how I think it's going to look. And if I box myself in, I'll never be able to really like spread out and
fly away
and just like really feel my way through this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so easy to just back yourself into a corner stylistically or whatever it may be based on what you think it's gonna be,
I think that idea, these ideas of success are just silly sometimes, man. Rick Rubin says if you put your work out there, you're successful.
Right.
You've been successful for a long time.
Right.
And, I think there's some levels to it. We can define it, financially and fame and all this crap. Like, like if you adjust your perspective on it, like, man, you are extremely successful.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I've been so unbelievably lucky. I've worked hard for a lot of it, but
yeah,
I've been lucky too.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah.
and like in the grand scheme of things, man, I'm like just so grateful and just blessed to be in the position that I'm in, dude. And like, if people walk away from, this conversation with one thing for me, it's like, I need people to know that I'm grateful for all of this. And I appreciate so much just all the people that have lifted me up through the years, and my community that has just always been there for me, from Rochester to Ithaca to Syracuse, New York City to Atlanta. It's like all of it, dude. I've been so lucky to just be surrounded by incredible people my whole life. And, there have been ebbs and flows in that, but the general trend is upward. So it's good. It's good, man. I've worked through a lot of it, and obviously the show is still airing at the time we're filming this, but crazy.
Well,
just never something I thought I would do.
Hey, dude. Man, you never know until you try.
That's right.
You do it. So
you find if my dumbass can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to put yourself in the room, and you'll never know what you're capable of until you realize, I can do this and stuff. So, wise words from the big Rizz. But man, thanks for sharing, bro.
Thanks for asking, man.
Yeah, man. I think this. Do you have anything else to say? It's kind of a shorter episode.
Yeah. Well, before I want to ask you about your life before we end this.
Oh God.
Yeah. Don't think you're getting off so easy.
Damn it.
I do want to say just thank you to anyone listening. I don't know why I'm looking at that camera. I can't see me. But just thank you to everyone who has ever supported me, whether it be coming to shows or even sending me a text. Hey, can't come to the show, but I hope you kill it. Like, that goes a long way. People have donated to my GoFundMes to come to see us on tour, help me raise money for those tours. Just every single person that's ever been involved in all of it. I appreciate the hell out of you, and I love you guys. It's like, I just really couldn't do it without them. And, I was just like, can't find words when I'm trying to express this because my gratitude is of biblical proportion, but like, it's there. I just never want anyone to think that I don't appreciate them.
I don't think that comes off at all. So yeah.
Great.
Appreciate
keep
you
reiterating it to keep it that way.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Anyway, this is the Rizz.
Yeah.
Wind that down.
Yeah,
what's going on in your life, man?
Man, I've been, it's been busy out here, bro. Yeah, trying to be like letting go of that kind of what you were just talking about. This, this idea of I'm not happy. The fucking line in Mr. Brightside, gotta be down because I want it all. Mm-hmm. That has always spoken to me. It's kind of corny to say that, but I just see major potential in myself, and then I kind of look and I'm like, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm not. Maybe not as happy as I could be because I want it all. And I see that potential. But then I got to remind myself that, you know what, dude, I'm just going to be the best I can be. Every day I'm going to do a little bit more to be the best I can be. I'm training all the time. Like, I want to be the best actor that I can be. Even if the opportunities aren't knocking at my door right now, I'm going to keep working at that. I'm going to become the best actor I can be. I'm going to become the best writer I can be. I love working on this podcast. And I want to shout out anyone who's listening to us talk right now.
For real,
dude. Like, we love doing this, and it's been I think the reason we started this was to, there's a little bit of frustration in our creative lives, and, sometimes, things aren't all gas pedal all year. So this podcast has been something that's become important to us. And it's starting to grow, which is great. And people are tuning in, and, that just makes me happy, dude. And like, I love working on this too. And, it's been a great outlet, as someone who admires Aaron a lot and wants to work with him. Like, obviously we live together, and this was like a perfect thing where we can just talk, sometimes and goof and talk about real shit too, though.
Right. It's the whole spectrum, man.
Yeah.
It's always a good hang, though.
It's always a good hang. Before we cut loose here, I wrote about 6 words down in this piece of paper.
Okay.
And it was something that I think it was Rick Rubin was talking about it, but it's about it made me think of music. And he was talking about intuitive response versus meaning. Okay? And how the intuitive response is more important. And it made me think of when I listen to music, and I want to ask you about what is more important to you. Because I had a buddy growing up he was a lyric guy. It was all about the lyrics, the story that was being told in the song. And that was what drew him to a song. For me, it's the opposite. I'm a feeling guy. It's that intuitive response. I'm a sucker for production. Mm-hmm. And it's how the music, you could babble incoherently on the track, but it makes me feel that way. Where are you at with that? Or does it need to be a union? Like, what's good?
I mean, I totally agree. I think one can sometimes inform the other. I think meaning has the power to either amplify or ruin intuitive response.
Ooh.
But I don't think that like intuitive response could exist without meaning. Does that make sense?
100%.
So it's like the meaning is just a sprinkle on top, or it's salt on the cake.
That's where I'm at with it.
Right. That's how I feel about it too.
Okay.
I very much subscribe to the idea that lyric is important, but it's not like as important as the way the song makes you feel. And like I said, I mean, why do you think you can listen to a song in a language that you don't understand and still feel something? You know what I'm saying? Like that is...
Or I just like don't know the lyric. Like I can't really...
Right.
Like I'll be like, oh, that was the lyric? I don't know.
Yeah. If it was, if it was only about the lyrics, like why do we have a band playing behind them?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like all the parts matter.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I'm a sucker for production too. And like just a good production. I'm like, I don't even know what this dude's saying, but it's just making
fire,
put me in my feels, dude.
I'm grooving here. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting that you said that, but yeah, intuitive response over meaning. But yeah, if you can have both. Oh, bang!
Fuck yeah. Are we done?
Do you got? Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I kind of cut.
That's okay. I don't know. I did kind of want to ask you a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
If that's okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna ask anything crazy. I'm curious how I'm like interested like where your head's at like with your career, because from what I've talked to you about, it seems like the work, like you just said, the work is not like coming in like crazy right now, right?
Yeah.
I think you are a shining example in resilience in the sense that you're still going in the face of that. And I just like want to know what that process looks like for you. I want to know, is it difficult for you? Are there times where it's fun? Like, do you not think about it that way? Like, I just want to like know what's inside your head.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing this nearly as long as you've been chasing your dream. Obviously, there was a lot of resistance, but it's one of those things where it's not. I can't just like make. I could. Don't get me wrong. I could make more stuff, but it's not like I'm putting out songs and like it's like that's it kind of. Like I need to be like hired, man, to get paid. And it's just like there's just not a lot of the industry with the strikes and everything. It was just like shit was just slow, man. And like I'm not getting like the auditions that I thought I was going to be getting. I thought I was going to be getting swamped in auditions this year. It's just not happening. But I think the industry's starting to pick up again, which is I have hope. I have to have hope. I think you have to have hope. You know what I mean? In order to, you got even if you're a little, there's a little delusion there. Like I've always been.
You have to have the delusion.
You have to have the delusion, bro. I've always had the delusion, and I think that's going to serve me for the rest of my goddamn life.
Yes, sir.
But even if it's like, but like, I'm getting torqued up. Man, I like doing it. I like, even if it's just like I'm going to class every week and I'm with my ensemble, just doing the thing. Like it just brings me joy and it pushes me out of my comfort zone and it stretches me and it's when I feel most alive, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like joy is the key word there.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of joy in it and that's all that matters to me. And if that's all that ever comes of it, which it won't, I will find my way and I'll make money. Not that that's what it's about, but I want to be a part of great storytelling. Like that's what I want to do. And like, if I got to write it myself and act it myself, God damn it, I will.
He's a one man.
But yeah, it's just fun, man. And it's something that I wanted to get into because I knew I could go my whole life and always be challenged. And like, you know, I'm just trying to be the best I can be. So it's going to be a lifelong journey. And where I'm at right now is just scratching away at that.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that, man, I'm not like all my other friends and stuff who have settled down. We talked about this, have to settle down. They're starting families and there's a stigma that I need to do that. And I think I'm not a stigma person. You know what I mean? We're talking about the big picture and stuff. Stigmas don't matter to me. And I want to like talk about this because it's funny that I banged earlier and here we go.
Let's get into it.
Man, I just think stigmas kind of suck. Like live life on your terms. Like, you know what I mean? If it's not a cookie cutter life for everybody. You don't have to fit inside the mold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do what you want to do. As long as you're a good person and you're kind and crap, don't be an asshole. Like, don't be a shitty person. But in that, do what you want to do in life and be good to others. And shit's going to work out. Like, I'm telling you, shit's going to work out. Even if that's delusional.
It's not.
Like, it's gonna work out. So
it's not because you have all the other pieces in place.
Right.
You know, it's delusional if you're bad at acting and you don't work at it, but like you're doing all that stuff. So it's not delusional at all. No. I think the big question here is like, would younger you be proud of you?
Absolutely.
Then you're fucking golden, dude.
For sure.
You know,
for
it's
sure.
like we don't ask ourselves that enough, dude. We get so caught up in the minutia of all of this stuff, like, whether gigs are coming in or not, or like, not getting any airtime or whatever. That's just arbitrary.
It is.
Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter.
What matters is that you're doing the labor.
Right.
And that you are finding joy in that. Like you said, I love the word joy. That's like a word that I've come to love as I've gotten older because it's a simple word, but it is so specific.
Right.
It's such a specific brand of happiness.
It is, yeah. It is.
Joy, dude.
It's like a fullness almost.
Yeah, there's like a letting go in joy.
Yes, there's a surrender in joy. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you like lose yourself in something.
Yeah.
And that is just such an amazing feeling, and it's rare.
It's like hard to get to.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
But that's why we work though.
Right.
That's the work.
Because that is the
work.
It.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. I mean, we've both chosen, again, like, I don't want this to sound like holier than thou or whatever, but like, we've both chosen very difficult life paths.
Yeah, we have.
And I don't think neither of us regret it. Like, that's what I'm getting at here. No. Like, but at the end of your life, you're going to look back and be like, damn, it was so cool that I worked for so long until I got to a stable point, and it's like, you're just going to be proud of yourself. Younger you would be proud of you, and older you would be proud of you too, that you like kept going. All you have to do is just like,
you just got to outlast.
Right.
It's literally, I think that's it.
Game,
it is a time game. And it's the people that are willing to suffer the longest are the people that end up really getting there. And like, remember I sent you that post about the messiness. Like, the thrill of starting is over. Right. And then you're in that messy period where the finality or whatever you think finality
you don't quite
means.
have your like,
like
in the example of our podcast, like, we don't have a setup.
Right.
Like, we have to strike this and reset up every time we film.
And even like, there's no final, like, we don't have a massive audience. We're not making money on this podcast right now. Like, we're in the messiness.
Right.
And it's a great place to be, dude. I would argue that like, it's the long game of the messiness. Cause I think someday, and I'm looking at the camera right now, maybe our podcast explodes and 5 years down the line, someone's like, I'm going to go back and watch like a random old episode. Yeah. And like, we're talking about this, say we're taking off in our careers too, God forbid. It could be 10 years from now. And they're like, oh my God, these two dingleberries were talking about this. Look at these guys now.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool, man.
That's insane,
that's so
dude.
Cool,
but literally just pressure and time, dude. I don't ever want to sound like a hype beast too, because what's important is that you recognize when you are damaged and when you need rest. Like that is also very important here because I mean, I've said it before on this podcast. I absolutely hate the rise and grind mentality. Like I have become more productive because of my attention to rest in recent months. And like a lot of that came from doing this show and like not letting myself rest for a really long period of time. But, you know, in recent months, I've just really focused on being good at resting, and I'm still not good at it.
Right.
But just the focus on it and like the trying to do it has really opened my eyes to a new way of going about all this. It's like, I need to let the gas tank fill up before I can floor it again. And, you know, I just like
the industries that we're in and like what we're doing. Like, I feel like we get, there's like a guilt of like, I'm not gas pedaling all the time to like further myself. But dude, that rest is huge. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important, dude.
You also just like need to be a human being too. Like that's important to our work.
That's your input.
Yeah. Like, so taking that time to like enjoy yourself, even if it's just wasting time.
Right.
Like wasting time. If you're enjoying wasting time, that's not wasted time. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to go play video games after this for a couple hours, I'm going to do it because I've been working hard these last 5 days. Right. Like it's time to decompress and reset and whatever. But
get your ass kicked at zombies. Yeah. So what's the bigger picture here? You know, I think this is the question we need to ask ourselves now. It's like we've talked about a lot of this stuff. This has been a nice decompression episode. You know what I'm saying? Like we just sat down, we're just airing our shit. And like, I think it's important to have these every now and then. So I think the bigger picture here is,
let's keep it short and simple here.
Allowing yourself to be in the season that you're currently in.
Yep. Embrace the mess, the
Embrace
messiness.
it. Time's not going to move any faster if you're miserable in your season. So
and also
try to embrace it.
Yeah, and if you're wondering if you should do that thing that you want to do it because the time's going to pass anyway.
Right. You might as well do it.
Yeah.
And like, dude, you always feel so good after taking a risk.
Yep.
After you like, you know, go up to that girl and ask her for her number or, you know, get up on that stage and sing that open mic. You always feel so alive after that.
Right.
So like, let's do more of that kind of stuff, you know?
Fuck, who cares about failure? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not trying is failing.
Yeah. What's failure?
That's the only failure is not trying.
Right. And for me, failure is in the self-conscious part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the failure to me.
And don't fear success either.
When
that happens for you, you'll be able to handle it. You've handled everything else in your life to this point. You'll be able to handle it. So.
Yeah. That's the big picture. Bang! Part two.
Bang. That's good, baby. Good episode.
That's a Cracker Barrel of an episode.